Alright team, midweek update, and we are reversing a couple of yesterday's pivots after rechecking ownership trends, matchup context, and the latest news flow. We are moving back to Josh Allen at quarterback at 7,700. The dash rank is 100, projection is 23, and he draws New Orleans, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 25. He is at 26 fantasy points per game, with 23 and 5 in his last two, so the ceiling is intact even with some week-to-week volatility. Projected ownership is essentially zero, which is exactly the leverage we want on a proven producer with a reliable projection sample. The recent Essentially Sports piece detailing Buffalo's 3-0 start and the call for Sean McDermott to protect Allen underscores how centralized Allen is to this offense's success. The note about a potential penalty risk does not change our projection, but it does highlight his aggressive style that often translates into fantasy spikes. Running back, we are pivoting from James Cook to Quinton Judkins at 5,500. Dash rank 100, projected 14. Detroit also rate as one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 22. He is averaging 13 fantasy points per game and just put up 17 after a 0 the week prior, which aligns with the escalating role we expected. Ownership is about 1%, giving us a cheap path to differentiation. Multiple reports flagged his Week 2 debut, and ESPN's Jeremy Fowler noted ahead of time that the Browns would get him on the field. Followed by the Week 3 starter note, the news supports a growing touch count at a friendly salary. At wide receiver, we are moving off Nico Collins and back to Quentin Johnston at 5,500. Dash rank 100, projected 11, and he faces the Giants, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. Johnston is at 19 fantasy points per game, with 15 and 12 in his last two, and ownership around 18% reflects a fair chalk for the price. Early season coverage cited him as one of the most productive wideouts through the first 2 weeks, and the matchup profile says, "We keep attacking the Giants." Tight end, we are undoing yesterday's Brock Bowers pivot and returning to Dalton Kincaid at 4,500 to correlate with Allen. Dash rank 100, projection 9, New Orleans again rate as one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 25. Kincaid posted 18 and 9 in his last two, and projected ownership is essentially zero, which gives us a low-owned stack with Allen. The recent features about McDermott's future plans for Kincaid after last year's AFC title game reinforce the idea that Buffalo continues to funnel high-leverage targets his way. For the flex, we are slotting in Keenan Allen at 5,300. Dash rank 100, projected 13, and he also gets the Giants, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. He is at 19 fantasy points per game, with 20 and 4 in his last two, and projected ownership is essentially zero. The Week 3 matchup pieces flagged him as a strong option this week, and while pairing him with Quentin Johnston means we are heavy on the Chargers, the combination can work against a soft defense when the target tree narrows. Defense. We are moving from the Panthers to the Texans at 3,400 against Tennessee, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. The projection is 9, they put up 5 and 6 in the last two, and ownership around 12% is fine for a unit that has shown splash play potential and benefits from short fields if the Titans' offense stalls. Value lane now. Quarterback Bryce Young at 4,900 has a dash rank of 91, projected 15, and he draws New England, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 19. He has 16 fantasy points per game, with 12 and 11 in his last two, and a projected ownership near 0.2%. News around Carolina's banged-up receiver room and the preseason ejection dust-up aside, his role is stable, and he offers salary relief with a path to 3x via volume and short rushing. Value running back. British Brooks at 4,000 remains a deep punt only. Dash rank 100, opponent rank 24, which is one of the worst defenses overall. Projected ownership is essentially zero, and you are betting on a sudden roll bump. Floor is near zero, but if he sneaks into 8 to 10 touches, he can pay off at M1 salary. Value wide receiver, Justin Shorter at 3,000, is a tournament dart. Dash rank 45, he draws Chicago, who have one of the worst defenses overall, with an opponent rank of 31. Projected ownership is essentially zero. You are buying a downfield shot or red zone look at the stone minimum in a favorable defensive environment. Value tight end, Noah Gray at 2,700 stays in. Dash rank 54, projected 4. Baltimore have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 30, and ownership around 3.5% is workable. With Chiefs-Ravens on deck per this week's matchup, write-ups, and Gray's recurring involvement in heavier sets, he is a viable punt who can capitalize if coverage sells out on Kelsey. Value flex, Casey Washington at 3,000, is a thin salary saver. Dash rank 57, Washington have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 21. He posted 0 and 6 in his last two and sits around 1% ownership. You are playing for a busted coverage or red zone look to open up the rest of your build. If you need a basement defense pivot off the Texans chalk, the Titans at 2,300 work. Dash rank 48, they face Houston, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 22, ownership about 4.5%, and they scored -4 and 10 in their last two. It is purely a variance play on sacks and turnovers at low salary. To recap the changes from yesterday's video, we are moving back from Jalen Hurts to Josh Allen for leverage and correlation with Dalton Kincaid, swapping Brock Bowers back to Kincaid given the Bills' concentrated usage and New Orleans' overall defensive rank, shifting from Nico Collins to Quentin Johnston to keep attacking the Giants' secondary at a friendlier price, replacing Omarion Hampton with Keenan Allen to double down on a soft matchup, and flipping Panthers D to Texans D for pressure and turnover potential. The value pool shifts from Jackson Dart to Bryce Young, adds Justin Shorter and Casey Washington as fresh punts, keeps British Brooks and Noah Gray in place, and introduces Titans D as a salary pivot. News-wise, the Allen coverage about Buffalo's start and the call to protect him, the Judkins starter and debut reports, the Johnston early productivity notes, and the Kincaid usage outlook all support these adjustments.